everyone and welcome back to the Colour Cave where we like to play with art stuff. My name is Jem and I'd like to welcome you to this very lovely and cosy evening of Cavemas. So we're going to do the Q&A today and I have with me my trusty companion Jack Daniels. I am partaking this evening in the Jack Daniels Fire, which is my Christmas Jack Daniels tipple. I only buy it at this time of year and I enjoy it very much, but oh by God, it warms your cockles. So rather than asking everyone for a raft of questions randomly to answer, what I've done is I've had a look through all of the questions that have been asked over the course of the year, just generally on the channel and in DMs and emails and other social media too. And I've come up with a list of questions that I get asked most frequently, and I thought that this might be a little bit more useful for you. Hi Jock, you gonna come and say hi? And funnily enough, these guys is one of the questions, unsurprisingly. Oh, here's the other one coming. Hi, Pip. You come to say hello too? You're just jealous. It's a collie lovin'. It's a collie lovin'. So there was a few sort of familiar topics that kept coming up. So I've split the questions into 5 different categories. So the 5 categories are adult colouring, arting in general YouTube questions, having an art channel on YouTube, and then some personal questions as well. So I just thought we'll get stuck straight in and we'll start off with the adult colouring questions. Okay, question number 1. What are the best coloured pencils? Now you will see this debated time and time again on social media, everywhere, everything. It is down to preference and budget. So I always say to people, if you are new to coloured pencil or you're looking to invest in a set of pencils, there's a few factors that you should take into account. The first one is the purpose of those pencils. If you are adult colouring and you're like me and you like to colour in books, then light fastness is not going to be an issue for you. It's not really of much of a consequence. Light fastness simply refers to how much the pencils will fade over time once they've been put down on paper, so the pigment. So that's the first thing that you really need to think about. When it comes to budget, there's 3 very loose categories of pencils, and it applies to most art supplies to be fair, but they're what I call the budget brands, which is the very, very cheap brands that also sometimes people call them school pencils or kids pencils. And then you have the middle of the road, which are often referred to as student grade pencils, and then you have artist grade pencils. Now those price brackets can vary vastly depending on where you are in the world and also what you would consider to fall into each category. Now when we're talking about colourists, if you have more than a few pounds to spare to spend on a set of pencils, I strongly suggest avoiding the school grade pencils, you know, the kids pencils and the very, very cheap pencils, because realistically you're going to have to work really hard to use them. You're going to be pretty dissatisfied with the results. There are a lot of mid-priced pencils, you know, like that I would call the student grade pencils, that are very, very good, but they also tout themselves as artist grade pencils. So this is like the main source of the debate. To me, an artist grade pencil has to have 2 qualities, and it's nothing to do with price. Artist grade pencils should be considerably light fast, and they should also be available to buy open stock. Those are 2 things for me as someone who uses coloured pencils as an artist and not as a colourist. That's the 2 things I look for, and they tend to be the very expensive pencils. If you're a new colourist starting out, I strongly recommend going for that middle group. Now, whether that's a well-known artist brand like Faber-Castell, they do the Goldfaber pencils, which are wonderful, they're amazing, they're really good quality. But there are so many popular brands. A few that I would recommend if you're going for that mid-price range are pencils like the Arteza pencils. Now, they are touted as artist pencils. They are not artist pencils. They claim to be very light fast, but they don't have any official light fast ratings on them. They are not available to buy open stock, but they are a good pencil and they're a great starter pencil. And they come in 120 colours, so you're not like stuck for choice there. The other types of pencils that are really popular, Black Widow pencils are super popular, and so are the Castle Arts pencils. So if you are in that, if you can afford to take that step up from the kids brands like Crayola, etc., or you know, your sort of supermarket branded pencils, I strongly suggest going for that mid-range pencil. If you're looking to display things on your walls or give them as gifts, then you may want to step up to the artist pencils, but that's when we start to talk about hundreds of pounds rather than tens of pounds. For me, there is no right or wrong answer to this question. Recommendations in each group. If you are looking for budget pencils, if you're in the UK, I strongly recommend the WH Smith own brand coloured pencils. They're great and they're really cheap. If you can afford to step up into that mid bracket, the Arteza pencils are absolutely great. I really like them and I enjoy using them, and I do dip into them, not very often because I can't buy them open stock, so it means if I run out of one of them I would have to buy an entire new set just to replace one pencil, so not very cost effective. At the top end of the scale, if you are willing to splash the cash and want something really nice, my favourite are the Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils. They're a really good all-rounder pencil. They work well on lots of different types of paper. They've got good light fast ratings and you can buy them open stock, and they also come in 120 colours. So that doesn't answer the question at all, which is quite ironic considering that's what I was here to do. But I just hope that that expands a little bit on what's available. Okay, on to the next question. The question is, and you'll see this in colouring groups on Facebook all the time as well, what's the best paper for you to print out your PDFs on for colouring? So if you've downloaded a digital colouring book from a seller on Etsy or something like that, you have to have your own paper to do it on. I use a really cheap craft cardstock that's available on Amazon for my sort of day-to-day stuff if it's just for myself, and it's perfectly wonderful and it's got a little bit of tooth on it, so it will pick up most pencils. I'll leave a link to that down into the description, and this isn't an affiliated link or anything, it's just what I like to use. If you want to step up a little bit, the Nina vellum papers seem to be really popular in the US, but also the Bristol range of papers as well. Another good option that I like as well is the Strathmore coloured pencil paper. It's really nice. It's a little bit more expensive, but if you're looking for that little bit of a higher quality paper, then that's the one to go for. So before you invest in some paper to print off your PDFs, think about what brand of pencils do you use most frequently. Do you like really soft pencils like Prismacolors, or do you prefer a harder pencil like Black Widows, for example? And you can kind of gauge it from that, because the harder the pencil, the toothier paper you can get. Some people don't like really textured paper though. I like texture. I love texture. So that's just things to consider. Again, I'll leave links to all these different types of papers down in the description for you if you would like to check them out. The next one, what's the best pencil sharpener? Oh my goodness. There are quite a few schools of thought on this, and I don't necessarily agree with it. I see loads of people saying that they've got a really good electric sharpener or a really good hand crank sharpener. I wouldn't recommend them because they chew through pencils really quickly, especially the hand crank ones. You literally see your pencil going disappearing into the sharpener. They give you a great point, but you're going to run through pencils so quickly, especially if you like to colour quite often. For me, it's always going to be a manual sharpener, and I have some recommendations for those as well. For those of you that watch regularly, you'll know that I like the Tagal multi-sharpener. It has several settings on it, so you can get a little fat stubby point or you can get quite a long pointy point. And I have used that religiously for various brands of pencils for nearly 5 years now without any issues. They do need replaced. I replaced mine. I've had two. Yeah, I'm on to my third in 5 years, and that's because one of them I dropped on the floor in my old kitchen, and it was a stone floor and it smashed into a million bits, and Mr. Jim couldn't even fix it. So they're good sharpeners, as I really like those. Other sharpeners that I like to sort of jump between and just have lying about, I have the M&R brass bullet sharpener. It's a really good sharpener, and as the name suggests, it's brass and it's kind of bullet shaped. And that is a really cheap sharpener, and I like that one because the blade can be changed, and that's usually the main concern and the main problem with sharpeners is, especially with wax-based pencils, that wax builds up on the blade and they dull quite quickly. You can ease that, beg your pardon, you can ease that by running a graphite pencil through it every now and then, because the graphite helps to clean off that wax build-up. but do replace your blades regularly. And you will find if you've got an older sharpener that you kind of like and you've kind of stuck with, if you replace the blade, it will feel like a new sharpener. The last one is the Cum sharpeners, and that's K-U-M, and they're really good as well. And I've got one of their bog standard metal double hole sharpeners, you know, just like, again, ones you used to get when you were at school, but the Cum brand are really, really good. I've also heard that the Dala pencil sharpeners are really nice as well. There is a single and a double hole one, and again, I shall stick links to them down in the description for you. So there we go, that's all I have to say on sharpeners. When it comes to my graphite pencils, always, always, always use the M&R brass bullet sharpener because it's really good. Okay, question number 5, the last question in this category is, what's the best way to improve my colouring? Obviously, this is a question that I see most from beginners, or get asked most from beginners. Everybody can always improve. Everyone can always improve. And my advice is, if you're a newer colourist, the first and best thing that you can do is watch as many different YouTubers as humanly possible to pick up different things from different people. And my particular recommendations for that are, number 1, go and check out Peta Hewitt's YouTube channel. Peta Hewitt is the lady that really got me started with colouring, and I think she's an amazing teacher. She hasn't posted videos for a while. She is a nurse, so obviously she's kind of got bigger fish to fry, but she's a really, really good teacher, and I kind of think like a little bit of her has rubbed off on me, and I find that I do my YouTube videos in quite a similar way to her, but I think it's because she taught me. She does great Inktense tutorials as well, so I'll link her channel down in the description for you. And also the other one is Colour with Claire, another fellow UK colourist. Colour with Claire has been going for a long time, and she's worked really hard, and she has videos on just about everything. So again, a great place to start if you want to pick up some basic skills. For those of you that are more advanced and are looking to improve your colouring, the 2 things that you can work on that will help change your picture with quite an immediate effect is contrast. Think about what colours you're using where, and also think about putting lights next to darks to make things pop out and make things recede, and that can change a picture instantly. The second thing is light sources, and that's something that I'm always banging on about. It doesn't matter whether I'm drawing or whether I'm colouring. Pick a light source, put it in a place, and learn to use light and shadow. That just brings an extra dimension to your colouring page, and again, once you've got the hang of it and you understand, then it's like overnight your pictures will look different. The light and dark thing, like the light source thing, something that's really easy. If you've got a mobile phone, which most of us do, or a little handheld torch, if you're not sure how a light is going to cast onto something, find an object in the room that's a similar to shape to what you're colouring, and shine your torch or your mobile phone light on it just to see how the light hits it and how it bounces off. It's so simple, it's easy to pick up, it's difficult to master, but even if you have basic light and shadow in your drawing, it's really going to make things pop. Alright, so let's move on to the arting questions now, and I'm actually quite surprised at the ones that have come up here. It's not the type of questions that I thought would have been the most popular, because, you know, I get asked stuff all throughout the year, so I kind of had an idea in my head of what was going to be a sort of recurring question, but these have actually quite surprised me. What's a really good set of watercolours for a beginner? I don't want to spend a lot of money. I get asked this question all the time. I've tried quite a few sets of watercolours now, and I can recommend wholeheartedly the Winsor & Newton Cotman sets. That's what I started with. I bought the big studio set of 45 half pans. They're great paints, they really are, and you've got enough of a selection there of colours to use until you find your feet and learn to mix your colours really well. But it's still not an outrageous amount of money. They do come in much smaller sets as well. You can get a little pocket field set and it's dinky, it's like this big, and I think it's only about £12 or £13. The other watercolours that are in that sort of cheaper price range that I found that I really liked is the Dale Rowney Aquafine paints, and again they do a little pocket field box as well. I think it might be 12 in that as well, and it comes with a, you know, a little diddly paintbrush that folds out and everything, and I was really surprised by those paints, and I liked them a lot. So they're really good budget options for getting you started. Okay, so question number 2 for arting is, I want to try a new medium, where do I start? People love to ask me this question because I play with art stuff, that's what I do. And truthfully, the best thing that you can do is get a hold of said medium and just see what happens. a nice way to try out a new medium without going ham and having to buy a whole load of stuff. And I know you all secretly like buying art stuff, so don't lie to me. But if you do want to try something out but you've got a little bit of trepidation, I would say it's better to buy something smaller that's better quality than buying really, really cheap stuff, because if you buy like bottom level budget things, it can put you off a medium when the reality is that you might actually quite like it. And that's what happened to me with watercolour many moons ago, and it is documented. It is in a YouTube video, which I'll link down in the description too. I tried watercolour for the first time and I tried to follow a tutorial in a magazine. I was using the cheapest of cheap watercolour paper, and from that first experience I hated watercolour. But I'm really stubborn, and it's just as well that I am, and I stuck with it, and it's something that I really enjoy now. So buying a small set of watercolours like we were just talking about, or buying a couple of, you know, more expensive charcoal brands or paintbrushes, it doesn't matter, but you're better to have that and start in a very, very limited sense just to get a feel for it. I know a lot of people that have, maybe for example, that have something as their primary medium. Say they're normally a watercolourist and they decide they want to try colour pencil. By picking up a few basic supplies for your coloured pencil side of things, you can incorporate them into something that you're already comfortable with. So if you have painted something and it's all lovely and you decide you want to sort of dabble with the coloured pencils, you can add that colour pencil in and just try it out. Also, having a sketchbook's a great idea as well, for the more traditional mediums like charcoal, pencil, that kind of thing. And just have like a little experimental sketchbook just to sort of fart about in and find your feet. I'm naturally a very curious person and I like to learn things, I like to explore. So exploring a new medium for me is kind of, well, it's kind of my occupation here on the channel now, and I'm not frightened of it. Even if I draw something or paint something and it's not very good, it doesn't matter, because I've probably learned a lot about that medium just by that trial and error. If you're not that way inclined, some people would never want to do that. Some people are the complete opposite. There's places like YouTube. YouTube is an excellent resource for everything. It really, really is. I've learned a lot from YouTube, even about YouTubing, which we'll come on to in just a minute. The other thing that you can do is take a membership for something like Skillshare. Skillshare is amazing because there's lots of classes and everything, and if you don't like the traditional route of draw 4 straight lines, there's some pretty off the wall approaches to some of the mediums that we all know and love. So my advice on that, really in a nutshell, I suppose, is don't be scared and just get stuck in. What's the worst thing that can happen? If you create something that's absolutely abominable, nobody has to see it. Where do I get inspiration from? I think that's really about finding out what makes you tick. I know what I like to draw, I know what I like to paint, so therefore the sort of common sense part of it is I like animals and I like nature. So if I need some inspiration for something, I go outside. I usually take my dogs with me and I go outside and really observe. Look at the trees, look at the leaves, really sort of suck up your surroundings and pick something out. I do get inspiration from slightly stranger places as well, and that's usually to do with colour though, rather than subject, and it happens quite a lot. It tends to be people that are wearing bright clothes or clothes that are unusual, and if I see somebody wearing something mentally, I'm working out what the closest coloured pencil is to what they're wearing, and I'm like, yeah, that looks like chartreuse, and then I store that away in my memory, and that you often like a brain fart that back out again in an artwork maybe 3 or 4 months later. So I think the key to inspiration is to really identify what makes you tick, what gets you going, what gets you excited when it comes to art. Be aware of that and take that out with you into real life and just be observant. There's lots of Instagram accounts that I follow that aren't the type of art that I would like to draw or paint, but I still pick up inspiration from those and glean bits of that off and then use it as a sort of catalyst for my own art. And the internet's a wonderful place for stuff like that. So if you haven't already, I would strongly recommend setting yourself up on Instagram and keep it just for art stuff. Follow artists, follow colourists, because it's amazing the amount of inspiration, and you can actually get to a point where you've got too much inspiration. So that's like a surefire way to get those ideas going. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I would say probably fortunately, I've got more ideas than I could ever execute. And everyone always says to me, well, you know, I'd love to know like where you get these ideas from. You've got such a good imagination. It doesn't just like, you know, I don't just sit back and go, give myself 5 minutes and I'll be able to spout out something that I'm going to paint today. It's months and months and years of noticing things and going, oh, I like that, oh, you know, that might fit into a drawing somewhere. And if I don't have that for some reason, then I go out and look at everything. I just use my eyeballs all the time. And it brings me quite neatly on to the next question, how to get over art block. A lot of people have kind of lost their art mojo and ask, you know, what can I do to kind of kickstart it again? This has happened to me a couple of times. It actually happened to me with writing first. I always say that a change is as good as a rest. And for me, especially at the likes of, it happened to me after Inktober. I did Inktober and I really just, I didn't want to draw after that. I'd like, as if I was all drawed out. It's like, I don't want to do this anymore. So what I did was I went and picked up a really simple colouring book, just coloured instead, not for any particular purpose or any particular reason, just because I wanted to do something creative and arty, but I couldn't bring myself to draw anything. So if you can find an alternative, preferably something that's not too taxing, you know, something that isn't like a massive project. So that could be something as simple as doing a series of small sketches or simple sketches. It can be getting out the set of paints that you haven't used for 6 months and swatching them out. You know, anything like that still involves you in that arty process. And also back to what I was saying before about checking out Instagram or just going out for a walk and really, I've got 3 dogs. The 3 dogs are all asleep on the sofa and all of them opened their eyes when I said that. Yeah, so even doing that, that's enough just to kind of like bump start you and get you going again. And you still feel involved and you still feel arty and creative, but you're just not putting huge amounts of pressure on yourself and you can let it go. You know, you can put it down anytime. The final question for the art section is, I'm new to drawing, I'm new to painting, insert whatever you want in there. How often should I practice? Do I need to draw every day? And my answer to that is no, you don't. And I hate it when people say, yeah, you need to build up a habit because if you don't build up a habit, then you'll stop doing it. I don't know anyone that's a grown adult that has time to dedicate every day to sit down and sketch. Like I don't know anybody that has time to do that. What I do agree with though is building that habit and building that time to sit down without any distractions and do it, because it's about quality, not quantity. You see people that spit out a fresh sketch every single day, but there's no substance to it. It's just like a quick scribble. You're better to sit down. Now, it doesn't matter whether it's every day or once a week. If you can dedicate, say, an hour and a half or 2 hours and really concentrate on what you're doing and, you know, be in the moment and be absorbed and in there doing it. If you do that fairly regularly, I'm not saying that your art's not going to improve if you only draw once a month, obviously, but you don't need to do it every day. I have never drawn every day. I don't have time to draw every day. I wish I did have time to draw every day. But, you know, I'll sit down and do some art maybe 2 or 3 times a week because of YouTube, but I try and squeeze in like an evening here and there as well, just for myself. So it's really important that you're doing that, and when you do start doing it on a regular basis, you will start to see that improvement. And I think sometimes beginners are quite impatient, so they do want to do it every day so that they can improve more quickly. But I find that burnout is more of a problem than not doing enough. So my advice to anybody starting out is, if you can schedule yourself, maybe even just twice a week if you're really busy like me, as long as you can dedicate that time solely to what you're doing and pay attention to what you're doing and learning, then there's no reason why you can't see an improvement in your art. I've been drawing for 3 years and I have come on leaps and freaking bounds. And not only that, I'm learning to paint. I'm still not a painter, but I'm learning to paint, and I've sort of chucked myself into other mediums that are a bit more outlandish and produced half decent results, you know, not masterpieces, not perfect, but I've been able to go into other mediums because my art has improved from when I started. At some point, probably not in the near future, but I will do a video on some of my very beginner artworks to where things are now, so that, you know, we can take a look at progress and see what progress actually looks like. If that's a video that you would like to see, please let me know down in the comments section, and I'll maybe think about doing that in the next couple of months or something like that. Let's move on to general YouTube questions, and these questions are so popular. Question number 1, how much money can I make? If anyone is thinking of starting a YouTube channel to make money, don't bother, because it is the wrong reason to be starting a channel, and you will end up hating it and you will stop doing it. Even in the last year, I think because of the pandemic situation and, you know, social distancing lockdowns, I have seen so many people start YouTube channels, you know, maybe back sort of March, April, May time, and they're not doing it anymore, or their channel's still there but it's dead in the water, there's no videos up on it. The idea of making money on YouTube is very subjective, and it's a very individual thing, because there's more to it than just put out a video and you get paid, because that's not the way it works. To give you some rough figures though as to what's happened with me, I don't make any profit. My channel's not even 3 years old. I don't make any profit, but I do make enough money now to cover off the costs of running the channel in its current format. So I have enough money to pay for the subscription boxes that I unbox on the channel. I also am able to pay for a PO box, because you guys like to send me stuff, which is really nice, it's lovely. And also to pay for the domain and things like that for the website as well, where you guys go over to the stash shop. Yeah, but it's taken me nearly 3 years to get there, and I've worked hard. To get to the point where you are earning enough money to make a living from YouTube, you have to first of all think of the area that you're going into, like the niche. And the big popular channels like gaming channels, beauty channels, they will rack up way more subscribers and way more views than the likes of an art channel, because the actual viewer base is much broader. That is tweaked on how they get paid. Like, how you get paid is per number of views and the pickup rate in those adverts that you then put in there. And they're weighted differently, so smaller communities, each click will generate more of an income than the larger channels like gaming channels, because the average size of a gaming channel, of a successful gaming channel, can range from like 100,000 subscribers up to like millions and millions and millions, where in the art community, our top end YouTubers are between sort of 1 and 6 million subscribers. So there is a huge difference, and YouTube are clever to that, and they adjust things accordingly. For the larger YouTubers though, that are doing it as a full-time job, I have looked at larger YouTubers out of interest on this point, just to really see and understand. And most of them weren't doing it as a full-time occupation until they'd had their channel like 4, 5 and 6 years, and some even longer than that, some 10 years. So you're not going to get overnight success with it. You're not going to start making money straight away. You can't even qualify for monetization until you have 1,000 subscribers and a certain number of viewed hours on your channel. So it's not just a case of getting people to subscribe. People need to actually be watching your videos and sticking with them. So that leads me on to the next question. How do I get more views? I've been asked this so many times. I need to stop saying that, because obviously I've been asked it so many times, or so we won't be talking about it. How to get more views? I am not an expert on this. In my opinion, consistency is a huge deal. If people know when your videos are going to come out, somewhere deep down in their subconscious, that's going to register. If you faithfully put out videos at the same time, whether it's every day, every week, every month, doesn't matter, but as long as your viewers, even if you've only got a handful of subscribers, if they know that video is coming, they will eventually want to watch and be waiting to watch the next one that's coming out. If your upload schedule is really sporadic, I think that harms the number of views you're going to get. And what's interesting to me as well though is it's a bit of a mystery to me, and I don't know whether it applies to all YouTubers or whether it's just me. My actual views on my videos are more or less half and half. So half are subscribers and half aren't. So if I've got a video with 1,500 views on it, only 750 of those views have come from my subscriber base. So I'm like, where the hell are these other 750 folk coming from? And do they just want to watch a certain type of video? And that would be unboxings, because everyone likes to watch unboxings, but they don't necessarily want to watch what I'm drawing or want to listen to me, which is, you know, that's the way it goes. So I think consistency plays a huge role in your views. And I also think that being yourself is really, really important. It's something that I have like unapologetically just been myself right from the beginning, and I'm not going to change that. I do get, like, I never get really horrible comments, but I do get odd comments saying like, oh, you do this and it's really annoying, or you're really annoying, or why'd you get so excited, it's really annoying. And I'm like, that's fine. See, those people are never going to be a loyal subscriber or follower or whatever, because me being me doesn't sit well with them, and that's absolutely fine. Like, you can't please everyone all of the time, and there's lots of YouTubers that I think in our community are really, really talented artists, and I like their artwork. Would I sit and watch their YouTube videos? No, because I don't like to sit and watch them, because I don't like the way they do things or the way they talk. You know, it doesn't matter. But if you try and pander to everyone, you end up pleasing nobody, including yourself. Whereas if you just be yourself, be the person that you are, then you don't have to work hard at it, and you will find the people that resonates with. For me, being genuine is probably one of the most important things as a person, let alone for a YouTube channel. But I do think that, and I think people that try and sort of project themselves as something they're not, they either get burnt out really, really quickly, or they end up tripping themselves up when they're in a position where they're maybe under a bit of pressure, and that facade cracks. And that's not usually, you know, that usually doesn't end well. So yeah, definitely like regular upload schedule and just be yourself. That's probably the best advice I can offer on that one. The next question's in regards to monetization. How long does it take to get monetized? It's not a time scale. It's when you have those 1,000 subscribers that I was talking about. I think it's 200 I can't remember how many view hours it is. I'll put it up on the screen here. I'll look it up later. So basically you have to have had people sit through X amount of hours of your videos before you even qualify. And YouTube have done that to make sure that the people that have YouTube channels are genuine and they're not just trying to make a quick buck. They want to see that build up over time and that engagement, because obviously that's what makes them money too. For me, I was monetized. I started the channel in March of 2018, and I was monetized the following April, and it was early April. I actually hit the target late March the following year, so it was a year basically, but it didn't all go through until into the April. To be fair, I wasn't a person, I didn't really push my channel out there, you know. I wasn't in every single social media group going, hey guys, come and check out my channel, like, subscribe. I just didn't do that. I'm not comfortable doing that. I did pop in a few videos here and there in certain places where I thought they would be relevant, but I wasn't that sort of spammy, desperate, oh yeah, you need to come and check this out. And as I say, it's something I'm not that comfortable with, because I don't like to bug people. So I mean, I probably didn't do myself any favours in those early stages in terms of actually getting the channel going, but it wasn't about that for me. I was wanting to document what I was doing, help get over the grief and the loss of my dog and my grandmother, and also hopefully find other people that felt the same way as me and just kind of like share that with them. That's why I started YouTube. And say, I like to learn things, and art was new to me, so that seemed like a good thing to do, and it's fun. When you do become monetized as well, you don't all of a sudden just start getting paid all the time. YouTube have a payment threshold that you have to meet, and if you don't meet it, you don't get paid. And that money then rolls over into the next month until you hit the target. In the UK, it's £60. You have to earn £60 worth before they will pay out to you. So for the first little while after I was monetized, I was getting a payment every second month, and then gradually over time that became, you know, every month. Okay, so the next question is, I want to start a YouTube channel. Where do I begin? Oh boy. Number one, congratulations for being brave enough to start. Secondly, good luck. And thirdly, where to start? Basically, if you've got a mobile phone, you can start a YouTube channel. But the other thing that you also have to have is time. And it's the thing that I chase all the time and wish I had more of. It's more time. I just want more time. Yeah. Again, joys of modern technology. When I first started, I used to film with my iPhone 8 Plus. And I had lots of weird and wonderful contortions for getting top-down shots because obviously we're drawing. And yeah, that's really all you need to do. Set yourself up a nice little channel and off you go. That's really is that simple. I would say that the other thing as well, you need to be familiar with editing software. To begin with, I was using the software that was on my phone, and I can't remember, I think it's called iMovie, which is it's actually quite a good editing software considering it's an app built into your phone. But I would say you have to become familiar with editing. That's going to make your life a lot easier when you first start out. And even to begin with, if it's just to cut out chunks where you're making mistakes or things that you don't want in, you know, like kind of tedious stuff, but having that skill before you start a YouTube channel is really helpful. And I wish it's something I'd kind of spent more time on. My editing's not great. I should probably know a lot more than I do by now, but it's just something that I loathe. I really can't. I really can. I'm aware that I mention it every year, every Christmas. I'm like, I hate editing, but I do hate editing videos. But I think if I'd had that, you know, even just taking a couple of short clips and tried to do different things with them before I started, I would probably have got on a lot better at the beginning. So yeah, that's something that's really important. Okay, the last question for this section is, how long do I spend doing videos? How long is a piece of string? It depends what I'm doing. Obviously, if I'm doing a painting or something, that takes a lot longer because I've got to wait for things to dry, you know, that kind of thing. But I would say on average, if it's a really quick video, a quick video for me is an unboxing video that I'm not doing any art in because I'm literally just going through the supplies and testing them out. I usually film one of those maybe an hour and a half. And the editing process will take me maybe another hour or so. At the other end of the scale, other videos that are really easy to edit are conversational videos. See, the chatty videos, because it's a natural flow and I tend to be doing something quite straightforward like sketching or colouring, those videos are really quick to edit, but they are longer videos. So, you know, if I spend an hour colouring, I'll probably spend another hour editing that video because I've got to go through the entire video. So anyway, you get the drift with that. At the other end of the scale, epic videos sometimes can take me up to 5 or 6 hours to film something. And you can imagine trying to edit 5 or 6 hours worth of footage. Yeah, you do the maths. So yes, so 2 videos a week, I probably spend the best part of maybe 15 to 20 hours. You know, that's a part-time job for somebody. I could, and at times of the year like this, when we're doing Cavemas, my entire life is YouTube squeezed in around work. But that's okay. It's much more fun than work. So yeah, I do spend a lot of time. I think I would be quite curious, and I might do it into the new year. I might actually just keep a note of how much time I am actually spending doing YouTube stuff, because I think it's a lot more than I think it is. But that's like the most accurate answer I can give in terms of the actual videos. Right, let's move on to the next section. And this section is about having an art YouTube channel. So I'm kind of overlapping here, but this is more specific to what I do here in the Colour Cave. Loads of people say to me, oh, you must get loads of free art supplies. Surprisingly, no. I am a really small channel and I don't really think about that, to be honest. How much free stuff I get, I could probably have had a lot of free stuff by now, but it would have been things that would be irrelevant to the channel and probably junk as well. I get a lot of emails, oh, we want to collaborate, like I get loads of collab emails, but most of them are ridiculous requests. I had a company contact me that wanted me to try out their new 3D pen, and it's something that I quite enjoy doing. And they were wanting me to put out 2 videos a month using their 3D pen over the space of 6 months. And I was like, 2 videos a month? I put out 8 videos in a month, so you basically want a quarter of my videos and you're going to let me keep the pen. And I'm like, No, it's fine, thanks. No. So yeah, you do get a lot of offers. You get to a certain point, and for me, it was when I hit about 3,000 subscribers, all of a sudden my email inbox started flooding. But most of it is like the offers are terrible, and I'm very, very, very careful about what I decide to put on the channel in terms of products and people contact. A lot of the time I'm not interested in keeping their free products, so you know. There's this common misconception as well that I don't pay for my art subscription boxes. I do. It's now the channel's money, thankfully, but it's still earned money nonetheless. I don't get these boxes for nothing. Very few companies do send out boxes. The one company, I have to say though, that's not entirely fair. There have been occasions with Upcrate and Artful as well, more so with Artful, where they will give me an extra box. So I'm still paying my subscription, but the likes of like the Cave birthday and things, sometimes I've got an extra box to give away, and they're good enough to give me that for nothing. But that's not for, I don't gain out of that because I've already paid for and got my own box. It's just one to give to you guys. So other than that, no, I don't really get a lot of free stuff. I'll tell you someone who does send me free stuff all the time, Julia from Julia K Art Studio. Every now and then, because I buy paints from her pretty much every month now. I'm like a monthly customer, and she does send me extras for nothing. But I think that's more because she's my friend. Thanks, Julia, love you. Yeah, I get this. This is another one I get a lot as well. Why don't you have discount codes for this, that, or the next thing? It's happened twice with Scrawlrbox in the last like 2 or 3 months, and folk have said, oh, have you not got a discount code for this box? And I'm like, no, I'm a paying customer. Like, why would I have a discount code? And I think sometimes as well, and I don't know if this sounds like being boastful because I don't mean it to, but I think a lot of the time, especially with the unboxings, people think or assume that my channel's bigger than it is. I've only got 5,000 subscribers. My YouTube channel is like an insignificant speck in the world of art YouTubers. I'm a nobody. So to make the assumption that I'm going to have discount codes and free stuff and all the rest of it, no, I'm sorry. I'd love to be in that position, but I'm not, and I'm not gonna cheap out on things just so that I've got stuff to give away, and I'm not gonna promote or have anything on the channel that I don't think is worth it. So I'm really sorry to everybody that like a discount code for Scrawlrbox, but I can't give you one. I just can't do it. I'm too small. Next question is, how do you decide what to do for a video? I work back to front. Most people will say, I need a video for Thursday. What have I got? Or what's coming up? Or there's a Scrawlrbox coming in, or there's an Upcrate coming in. I'll film that. I work back to front. I get ideas for art and then think to myself, is this feasible to do in a video, or is this something I should do by myself? I have a major challenge coming up for myself that I'm not going to tell you about because that'll ruin it. And it's a marvellous idea. It's a bit bonkers, but it just doesn't fit in. Like, the format isn't going to work for YouTube. I will keep you guys informed about it because you will absolutely 100% love the outcome of it. But to watch it as a video would be very drawn out, very long and very tedious. So that's kind of the way I work with stuff, and it's back to this thing about having ideas. And what's happened now is you guys pop up in the comments and you start suggesting stuff, and then before I know where I am, I've got like ideas coming out my ears. I literally have a list of ideas for videos, and that list has got longer and longer and longer. It's never got any shorter. I am never going to run out of ideas. If I have a few things that are going to work and I've got the time scale for it, I've got the time to actually spend filming the video, I usually just go with the one that I'm most in the mood for, and that's the nice part about being a YouTuber, because you've got control over that part. So if I really don't feel like painting, I'll be like, okay, I'll do this graphite drawing instead, because that's just the kind of mood I'm in. So I don't feel as if I'm being made to do things or have to do things. So that's the really nice part about it, but that is basically how I decide on doing videos. I do also try and get a balance between the colouring videos and art videos and the videos that kind of fall in between the two, just to get a nice balance, because I know that I do have that I do have those two separate camps, and then I have the overlap in the middle, which is what I consider myself because I like to do both. So I do try and keep that as fair is the wrong word, but as balanced as possible when I'm deciding what videos scheduled where. The other question I get asked a lot is, what have you got for your camera setup? I do show that in the cave tour video, which was a couple of days ago for Cavemas, so I'll link that down in the description. There's going to be a lot of videos linked in the description, isn't there? Yeah, that's all there, but basically I have an old digital camera. It's not new, it's not fancy. I bought it second hand because they're extortionate. And I have that hooked up to an overhead rig. I've been lucky enough that I can bore holes in my walls. So that's the way I do it. But before that, I used to have, when I used my mobile phone, in my old cave, I had like, it was like a cantilever arm thing, and I unscrewed it was a ring light that was on it, and I unscrewed that, and I bought a phone bracket, and like basically hobo rigged it, and just tried to get the best angles that I could. And I did that for a long time. I did that for a good year and a half. Just to make sure that YouTubing was something that I really wanted to do before I went and bought a camera. This year, the coming year, I'm going to be spending more time on lighting. I've had to go through the process of getting a new laptop and then buying a camera. So next year I'm going to concentrate on lighting. I do like to use natural light as much as possible, but I've moved so much further north now that light is a problem. And I feel as if the videos could look a bit more professional and a bit more crisp if I had better lighting. But we'll talk about that another time. The last question is, will you quit your day job and do YouTube full time? And the answer to that is no, I will never do that. I will never, ever, ever do that. I'm a person that gets bored quite easily, and I don't like monotony. I don't like repetitive things. And I spent a lot of money and 4 years at university to get my degree in order to do the job that I do. So I wouldn't really want to throw that away. And more to the point, I went back as a mature student to do that. I didn't come straight out of school and go and get a degree. So it was something that I really, really wanted and had to fund myself. And the student loan debt doesn't go away. So no, I would never ever quit my full-time job. I have given this quite a lot of thought though, now being in the position where we're coming up on 3 years, and I know that I never, I don't really want to ever stop YouTubing. I think if I got to the point where I was earning, a decent amount of money from it, what I would probably do is scale back my proper job, and then YouTube could become my proper job, and I would work my other job on the side. I am self-employed, so it's up to me how much effort I put into whatever it is I'm getting paid for. So that is an option, and I think that may be, that might be wonderful if I was ever to get to that stage. If I was lucky enough to ever get to that stage where the YouTube videos were doing that well, then that would be really cool, because I would have that option then. Whereas now, I don't have that option. I have to work my full-time job because YouTube doesn't pay the bills. It doesn't pay any bills apart from its own self-generated bills. So there's that. Okay, we're on to the last set of questions now, and these are the personal questions, and the first question is all the questions about the dogs. If I can get up from here, I was going to have them come over and sit with me so that you could see them, as I was talking. They are all absolutely fast asleep, and they're so cute, the three of them. So if I can get up and pan the camera around and show you this, I'm going to try my best to do it. Okay, so that's Woo. And Woo's the oldest dog. She is a Jack Russell. She will be 16 on her birthday. She's absolutely deaf as a post, and her eyesight's starting to go a little bit, but contrary to this image you have of her just now, she does really, really well for her age, and she's still pretty active, but I think the big dogs keep her going. She always sort of ruled the roost. She was the sort of alpha dog, as little terriers tend to be, but that's kind of fallen away now, and I think it's just because she's getting a lot older. That's Jock. He's the only boy dog we've got, and he's the middle dog. He's 8. He is an ex-working dog, so he's a retired sheepdog. We retired him because he's got arthritis in his shoulder, and as you can see, he's adapted very well to being a pet. He's really quiet and really gentle and really shy, and he sort of like stays at the back and lets the girls like go and investigate things, and once they know it's safe, then he'll go. And he's the same with people as well. And you all know who this little terror is over here. This is the puppy. This is Pip. and she's just turned 2. She's not long turned 2, and she was bought to replace Jock as a working dog. And we then decided we were moving, and we moved here and decided that we weren't going to have any sheep either. So she's an expensive ornament, but she's great. She's got a lot of energy most of the time. But as you can see, this is why we WALK our animals before we film videos, because we get peace. So there you go. That's the dogs. Another personal question I get quite a lot is, what do you have on your farm? We have cattle here. We have beef cattle. We do not have any dairy animals. We have beef cattle here, and we also have lots of arable ground. We have the facilities for shoots, for grouse shoots and pheasant shoots, which we have done nothing with. And we also have the facility for fishing as well, which we've also not done anything about. Yeah, we're basically cow people and crop people. The type of crops that we go, we're quite limited in Scotland because of the climate, but we tend to grow wheat, barley and oats. Those are the kind of mainstays. We don't get on well growing a lot of other stuff just because the weather in the winter here it's pretty grim. You don't want to be trying to grow. You can grow some root vegetables. I mean, there's people that grow potatoes and things like that on the kind of lower areas, but we're kind of up a hill and the ground's just, it's not ideal for stuff like that. Yeah, we feed everyone. We feed the vegans and the vegetarians and the meat eaters too. I keep trying to persuade Mr. Gemma to let me get pigs. I've been on at him for 8 years to let me get pigs, and he still won't let me get pigs. I only want 1 or 2, but I do actually want them more as like pets than anything else because I like them. But maybe one day. Next question, when did you move? Yeah, people have asked this a lot because people have seen the older videos now in the old cave, at the old farm, in the old house, and then they skip forward a bit and obviously they see where we are now and they're like, oh, you moved. And I'm like, yeah, we knew we were moving, but we moved in February of this year, so we've not even been in this place a year yet, and we moved everything. We moved farms and houses, which is a lot. So yeah, we're getting settled in now, and the new cave is a lot bigger than the old cave, which means I've got more room to store stuff, which we like. But we're kind of almost at capacity actually now, which is kind of worrying. So yeah, that's it. So we'll be coming up on our first year in this house into the new year, which is it's scary. It's gone by really quickly. Okay, this is my favourite question. People ask me all the time, am I Irish? I am not Irish, I am Scottish. I don't know why people think I'm Irish. When I lived down in the south of England, I lived near a place called King's Lynn in the south of England for a little while, and everybody down there thought I was Irish. The only thing that I'll say probably is where I'm from the west coast of Scotland, and I was born not far from where the ferry terminals used to be to go to Ireland, to the north of Ireland that is. So that whole part of the west coast of Scotland has quite strong ties with the northern part of Ireland. And what I do notice is that when I'm talking with a Northern Irish person, we have no problems understanding each other. Even though we both have accents that sometimes are difficult to follow. And we use a lot of the same words as well, which is kind of cool. Mr. Jem's dad's Irish, does that count? He's from Southern Ireland, though. He lives in the south of Ireland, so that's a completely different thing again. Oh, dear. Okay, and the last question is, what other hobbies do you have outside of art? Lots. It's not really about hobbies, it's more having time for hobbies. One thing I do fairly regularly is I do play video games. I really enjoy playing video games and have done since I was a very small child. So when I get a quiet evening to myself on the odd occasion, that's something that I really enjoy doing. I usually play on the Xbox or on the PC. And I play a wide variety of genres of game. I'm not a person that just plays one particular type of game. I like to try different things, stuff like that as well. I really enjoy doing yoga. I'm quite bendy because I do a lot of yoga. And I would like to say that I enjoy running. I haven't been running since we moved, and there's been lots of reasons for that. But it's something that I really want to get back into next year because I love it. Like I'm one of these people that gets stupidly excited about it, even though it's horrendous sometimes when you're actually doing it. I do love running. Other hobbies, I don't really have much outside of that now. Obviously, I like being outside with my dogs and the animals. I do quite a lot with the animals. I used to play a lot of guitar and have quite heavy musical interests, and it's something that I really don't do anymore, and I really should, because I've got 2 beautiful, in fact I've got 3 beautiful guitars. Yeah, that's something I should do more, and I don't do enough of. I used to sing a lot as well. My best friend and I, that's something that we kind of used to do together. In fact, 2 of my best friends and I, and it's just something as I've got older I've kind of like left behind. Anyway, that is it. So I hope that has answered some of your queries and questions. My fire's starting to die out now. I need to go and give it a poke and stick another log on it. I've really enjoyed this. This is like a nice little change of pace from some of the other videos we've been doing for Cavemas. So I hope that you found this interesting, guys. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. And I will see you back in the cave tomorrow for another video. So enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you're having some festive fun if you've got time off, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye just now, guys.